Welcome to Freaky Recaps. Today I saw you a story of typical father and son. In this movie Renato is a son of Flavio. For some reason Flavio has to go outside for work but didn't return and marry another woman. Renato goes to America for find a story why he didn't come back. This story is very interesting and very funny. If you like this video please give like and subscribe my channel. Movie start with Renato. He loves flying a remote plane. Renato and Flavio is basically father and son but behave like a friends, in another word typical father and son. And his favorite game is solving dad's riddle. His dream to build his own plane together, but suddenly devaluation accrued in Mexican currency. The demand for the dollar is more than the demand of the peso, so all the mans have to go outside for income. Flavio also decide to go to America for work, but Renato was not happy to live without his father, but Flavio has to go there for his family. After 25 years Renato started an aviation company which was his dream. By the way Renato has one girlfriend named Pamela. Renato and Pamela both had one son Emilio. They both goes to marry in next few day, but Emilio behave like a weird. Pamela tells Renato that Emilio had a hard time in school and all kid tease him. Renato asked Pamela to tells him to stop being weird. Renato goes to Emilio and take a picture of Emilio and saw him and asked to try to be a regular's kid. One day when Renato working in his office, one lady Catherine call him and tells that she is his dad's wife. After hearing that Renato gets shocked. Catherine told Renato that your father's health is very bad and he was hospitalized, and asked him to came to Chicago to meet his dad. This is the turning point of this movie. But Renato said that he does not consider him as a father and he cut the call. After going to America one day his dad call his mother and tells her that he has done another marriage and don't come back to Mexico. After hearing this Renato got angry. After that Renato made up his mind that he had no father. Renato explained everything to Pamela and decide to don't go to Chicago. But Pamela convinced Renato and asked him to meet his dad for last time and Renato take a flight to Chicago. In a coffee shop Renato see one weird guy. Basically that guy is a Renato's brother from another mother but Renato don't know. His name is Asher. Asher tried to take a video of Renato but Renato stopped him to do that. After that Renato goes to hospital for meet his dad, where he meets Catherine who is his stepmom. After that Renato goes to meet his dad. He saw his son after 25 years and he was very happy with this. Flavio tells Renato that he looked like a gentleman now. By hearing this Renato revealed that he is getting married in few days. Flavio asked Renato to remember one name Eloise. All story belongs to Eloise. In meantime Asher enter in a room. By seeing each other they both got shocked and both started saying are you following me? Then Flavio tells Renato to meet his brother. Flavio told Renato that I would tell you the whole story with my mouth, but it would be just words. Flavio asked Asher to find an envelope from his jacket. Flavio asked Renato to deliver this envelope and he will get all story why he don't come back to home and marry with Catherine. But Renato refuse and leave the room. Next morning Catherine called Renato and told him that his father pass away. Renato goes to his dad's funeral where he see a picture of his family. He try to leave but Asher comes and stop him. Where Asher tells Renato that they have to do this for dad, and Asher open that envelope and start reading that letter. In that letter, his dad wrote that you have to meet Evaristo, he will take you to Eloise. After reading this, Asher said, what do we have any sister? But Renato don't want to do this so he take a cab, but Asher want to do it so he asked Renato that we have to do this together like a brothers, but Renato refuses and leave from there. On the way Pamela calls Renato and asked about funeral. Renato revel that I only know that I said goodbye to him and I feel much better. But after some time Renato changed his mind and comes back to Asher and told him to be ready at 7 tomorrow morning. There are only 2 days left in Renato and Pamela's wedding. Renato waiting for Asher at hotel. They take a route for meet Evaristo. Renato got bored listening to Asher's stupid talk so he fell asleep in the car, but suddenly Renato hears some noise and wake up and he saw some man run behind Asher with guns and Asher had a goat in his hand. Basically he stole that goat. Renato take a driving seat and run away from there. Renato told Asher to let the goat out from the car, and both start fighting. When Renato saw St. Louis aboard, he said when we left the hotel it's 240 mile, but now it's about 300 miles, why? Renato angry on Asher and leave for destination. They reached at one factory where they dad work. Renato opened that envelope and find out one key from it. Renato asked Asher to put the goat in the car. Boda enter in that factory and see some remote control plane and drone. By seeing this Renato asked Asher how come you don't know about this? Asher told that he don't like aeroplanes so, by hearing this Renato start fighting with Asher and tells that I can do anything for that. At the same time a man comes there and asks both of them that are you here to meet Evaristo, and tells Evaristo waiting for you at a beer bar. Evaristo is Flavio's best friend and they work together for long time. Evaristo reveled that when Mexican economy goes down we have to goes to America for work. Evaristo also reveled that Flavio don't want to leave you alone but he has to do that for earning and saying goodbye to you was the hardest thing in his life. Evaristo said that your father was an engineer at home but he was not respected here. They want only cheap laborers who work for long time. Evaristo said your father was a smart man, he took a risk to make a money and if he was caught he would have been in trouble. He make one remote control aeroplane but Catherine saw that design and both work on that project and make a new product. Flavio was soon to return home after years of struggle, but before that Flavio took Catherine to a beer bar to celebrate. But he knew that he had made a huge mistake, so he decided to leave the country. And all he cared about was getting back to you. Renato asked Evaristo then what happened. He did not return to home. Evaristo said that your dad said that you would find out the next story and give him a case. By that key Renato opened that case and find out one more riddle. But meantime Asher was busy in frolicking on the pool table and loose the bat. All those people start beat up Asher. Asher tells Renato to give him $500, but Renato refused to give, so Asher slapped that man and both run away from there. They all throwing beer bottle on them, but somehow Renato start car and leave from there, and asked Asher what's your problem. At night Renato calls Pamela and tells that this dude is unbearable and also clinically insane, but Asher listening all this and asked Renato to don't leave me like a dad, I am ready to be the brother you want, just don't leave me. Renato opened that envelope and find out one claim ticket. By this Asher find out that there are 6 shops named Mr. B. But behind that ticket Flavio write one clue from that he find a correct one shop from all 6 shop, and he left to go there. But there is only one day left to the wedding of Renato and Pamela. After some time finally they reached at Mr. B pawn shop. Enter in a shop and saw a claim ticket to that man and tells Flavio send him. That man give him a ring. As soon as he saw that ring, he recognized that it was his dad's wedding ring and asked why did he mortgage this ring. The man said that 20 years ago your father had come in a bad condition. He pawned this ring here for a bus ticket because some robbers rob all his money and bus ticket which he want more than money. So he put his ring here and buy a ticket for border, but he had to walk the long journey from the border to home. In meantime some police officers catch him and ask about blood in his cloths. They put them in a prison. He was stuck there and no one was going to rescue him. He stuck there for a long time and one day he got sick so that police officers throw him on the road. That man give him a ring, but Renato asked what happened after that. That man give him another riddle by scene that Renato got rusted and decide to go for home, but ashore saw him a envelope named Eloise which they want to know. Eloise is the end of story, but Renato decide to leave and take a cab. Renato goes to buy a ticket but he lost his passport in Asher car. So Renato calls Asher and asked him to come back to take him back. Asher stopped the car at one store where some guys are teasing them so he decide to go away but Renato seen this. Renato asked Asher what was happening there, and said that you should not tolerate people's rudeness, but Asher don't care about any. Renato opened that envelope and find out one photo of St. Mary's convent. Seeing that, Asher thought that his sister was nun. They take a route for taxes but unfortunately the car ran out of petrol on the way. Asher goes to take out fuel can but that goat make it unbearable. Renato got angry at the goat and said to Asher that I will kill him as soon as you lose sight of him. They reached near a house for help and saw that there was no one in that house. Renato checked the phone but didn't work. Asher saw some chemical bottle and asked Renato to check it. Renato smell it and find out that it's a pure alcohol. Renato tried to purify it to make ethanol from it. Asher finds some balloon to collect ethanol vapors in it but failed. Asher tried to tie that balloon but balloon blast and all the alcohol vapors goes to his nose and Asher goes hangover and take out his cloths. Renato also get hangover and both are chilling that moment. After some time Renato try to take out ethanol for his car and the same time Asher goes to washroom. Renato locked him in a washroom and run away. Renato take Asher car and left them in that house. Asher somehow managed to came out from washroom and saw that owner of that house is arrived. Renato think that he was not doing right so he decide to return to that house but on the way some police officers stop him because police officer can smell alcohol from his car so they arrest him, but somehow Asher take him out and tells that man has stolen his goat, so Renato decide to let him tack back. Both goes to that house and saw some mans are drinking in that house and also find out that they tie that goat with ropes. Renato spray alcohol through the window by this all that man sleep down and they take that goat and leave. Both reached at the destination. Renato saw that envelope so that none open the door and welcome him. Both think she is Eloise but she is not Eloise. She asked for passcode to open that locker, but they don't have any passcode. But Renato get an idea and he saw that envelope in different view that is the passcode and he opened that locker. He find out one DVD and they play it. In this his dad explained him the remaining story. He said that when that police officers throw him on a road some sisters come there and she takes him to the church. After few months he was ready to go home but when he reached at border one thought came in his mind that there was something preventing him from crossing the border. So she called Catherine for apologize, then he know that Catherine give a birth of baby boy that's Asher. But Asher condition not very well so he decide to stay there for Asher. And he call his wife to explain this. Flavio said that even if I am not with you, I will keep watching this last journey of both of you. Hearing this, Renato started wondering which last journey he was talking about, then sister tells them about Eloise. And she takes him to saw Eloise it's an aeroplan which was made by his dad. Asher and Renato fly this plane and goes to his home and finally Renato got married.